Hey guys, welcome to the webinar. We will be starting very shortly. We're just waiting for everyone to come in. Okay, I can see new people joining in. Welcome to the webinar, guys. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today. Welcome. Hey everyone, welcome. We will be starting shortly. Just give us a few moments. We will be starting in like 2 minutes. Okay, I think we can start now. All right, I think everybody's here. So, yeah, everyone's here. So let's do this. Okay, cool. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We hope everyone's staying home and staying safe. I'm Ria and I'm part of the marketing team here at Zilingo. And before we start, I'd like to request all of you all to keep yourself on mute during the duration of this webinar. In case you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. Our panelists will be addressing these questions towards the end. And in case your questions aren't answered live, we will be sending across a link post the webinar with all the content that is discussed today, through which you can get in touch with us directly. Now, coming to the topic of discussion, which is integrating design and digital marketing for business scalability. As we continue to adapt to a new normal, the pressure for businesses to perform and scale with innovative and cost-effective solutions are at an all-time high. Today, we thought we'd start the conversation around leveraging two of the most proven channels of spike in awareness and business sales, which is design and paid digital marketing. So firstly, I'd like to introduce Sophie Bailey, whose incredible career spans nearly 2 decades. She has worked across multiple luxury brands and magazines like Gucci, US Vogue, and Grazia, to name a few, and has consulted for a number of high street and luxury labels in both a creative and editorial capacity. Sophie is currently the head of production at Zilingo, where she manages a team of creators and is responsible for creative content. Welcome, Sophie. Now, our second panelist, Kushal Manupati, is a digital marketer pioneering digital transformation across multiple industries. He has worked towards setting up CRM operations at Uber for the Asia Pacific market and has also played a pivotal role in driving growth and retention of users on the e-commerce giant Shopee in Southeast Asia. Currently leading the B2B marketing team at Zilingo, Kushal is passionate about harnessing data and marketing technology to drive acquisition and retention. Welcome, Kushal. All right, so Sophie, over to you to take us through the fundamentals of design and how it is reshaping itself to meet with current demand.
Thank you very much, Ria. Hello, everyone. So let's kick off with a brand. Where do you start in creating your brand? Like Jeff Bezos said, branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And this couldn't be more so and more important now more than ever, given that we're not allowed to be in the same rooms together. So logo, kicking off. Humans are wired differently. We are wired to identify images quicker than text. A distinct logo can be recognized globally. Here are a couple of examples of some fantastic logos and some great stories to go alongside it. So the Twitter logo was sold for $15, and the poor designer only received 6 of that. Baskin Robbins has got a hidden 31 to represent the 31 of their flavors. And the famous Nike swoosh cost $35 to design way back when and is now worth $26 billion. McDonald's M is not just the golden arches, they're there to represent a woman's breasts, which are to remind people of their childhood with a sense of nostalgia. And BMW, lots of people think it's to do with an aeroplane propeller, but it's actually the colors of Bavaria, which is where they were created. So there's some interesting facts about a logo and the importance of creating a great logo that really is the face of your business and can be recognized globally without even a word. Then moving on to graphics. Graphics is the skeleton of any brand. It sets the tone and the overall look, and it's the glue that holds all the pieces together. We always think of it as a joyful marriage of images, fonts, texts, and how they relate to each other. It's essentially the look and the feel of your brand. So it's how they're all positioned and how they relate and the colors that you use, which we can move on to in a second. All of these assets can go across all of your different platforms, be it ATL, leaflets, design, websites, social media, paid ads, and even packaging. So all of those would come from a designer, no matter what shape or size they fit into. Color, choice of brands color is super fundamental, and a super fundamental element that reinforces both its personality and the qualities of the product or the product service it offers. 62% is actually based on judgment, is based on a color of a brand. So important to nail it. Here are some representatives of color. So red, as we know, is a very, very high stimulation color. It gives power and excites, and it's a super popular color in China and also in India. Yellow is a really comforting color, which relates to delicious foods and drinks and also resonates really, really well with our Thai market. Green symbolizes the ideas of refreshments and nature, and it is a lucky color in the Middle East. Blue is associated with the sea and sky and serenity. So you'll find a lot of brands like cleanliness brands like Oral-B or Evian would opt for a blue kind of color. And orange really resonates with children. So Fanta, Nickelodeon, they've really driven home this color orange. And brown is a more wholesome, down to earth color. So brands like UPS, a lot of coffee brands have opted for brown as their key color. So brands have actually coined their own colors by patenting them, and they are now their own sole colors. So UPS own their brown, Barbie own that famous, infamous pink that is plastered everywhere. Duck egg blue is that Tiffany's color, and the Pink Panther owns that pastel hue. So even just by looking at these colors, you automatically really resonate with the brand that they have even without their logo, which is always really interesting. So images, visual aids we talked about, they found to increase the learning process by up to 400%. So now more than ever, everything is being led by images. People remember 80% of what they see and only 20% of what they do. It really is your chance to engage your community by mirroring them, can tell your story, your listing, and also can really create a really great, engaging, compelling storytelling narrative. Here are some other kind of great facts about how images do speak louder than words. So that's essentially it. That's your brand guidelines. Those are your brand fundamentals. That is what you will live and die for within your brand. Your fundamentals will stay the same, but the brand will evolve. So tweaks and colors might change along the way, but this is essentially what it looks like. So you'll always keep coming back to this. Consistency is key with marketing, as we all know. So if ever you kind of fall away, it's really important you come back to this. It's one of the most effective ways of marketing is by staying true and by staying real to your brand. So yeah, moving on. How to engage your audience in 2020. The average adult attention span is sadly about 8 seconds. So we are very similarly getting close to a goldfish. So it's really important to have your content stand out and really resonate with your customer and your audience within those first 8 seconds. So within a video, you'll often see the beginning, the middle, and the end put into the first 8 seconds of a video, even then, though it goes on to kind of tell a story. So we're seeing that much more happen as a trend. So get real. Creating authentic content. Brands are like people, we all crave to be different. So, you know, things like live streaming, we are even easing up on a lot more retouching. So these are things of ways that we can kind of keep our content real. Being socially responsible, being transparent, being honest, being real to your audience. So things like webinars, infographics, white papers, we've certainly seen a spike in these in content. Updating content regularly. Now, Kushal's going to come on to this, but yeah, 2-3 times a day for an IG post. You should be updating your blog once or twice a week. So yeah, it certainly is a full-time job. And co-create and collaborate, a lot more interactive content, more conversational content, using search generated content, competitions, things like that to really engage your audience and to make sure you're staying top. So during lockdown, what can I do to keep my brand alive? Well, some of the things that we've been doing is rewinding and repeating. So never be worried about repeating your content. There's definitely ways in which you can keep it fresh. So, creating shorter assets. So whenever you do a video, it's really important that you have 2 or 3 or 4 different versions of, so that then you can put it in various different placements. So IG will have a certain amount of engagement, LinkedIn, they all require a completely different version. So there's no real reason why you can't reuse. Slicing and dicing, we've been doing a lot of that. We've been digging into the archives, finding new ways of telling a different perspective of a story. So, you know, there's always a rush. There's always the rushes of any content that you've done. So always really important to keep those for times like COVID, where you can kind of go back into your archives and retell the story, but in a different way this time. Say cheese. Well, everyone is a photographer nowadays. We've had actually a lot of people from our team setting up their own home studios, where you just have a white piece of paper and then you're doing flat lays on top. So, you know, with today's iPhones and great cameras, there's no real need to have, you know, a fantastic Canon always. So you can definitely give it a go, especially when it comes to social media. Work with us. Well, our prices at Zilingo are, you know, start from $4. So we really are accessible, and, you know, no job is too big or too small. So, you know, please do reach out to us if you're interested in working with us, and we'll be sure to give you a quote. And stop motion. So the idea of having lots of different images and stitching it together, there's lots of fantastic apps which you can use that can help you do this. And it brings just simple old visuals, photos straight to life. So here are a couple of other examples of things that we've been doing here at Zilingo and that we've really been finding have been peaking during these COVID times. So you've got a lot of illustrations. We've been doing a lot of GIFs. So that's moving banners, home studios, as we talked about, flat lays, and also superimposing, which has been really interesting because you can be on a beach in Bali even when you have a studio photo like the one on the bottom left. So there really is no end. And questions shooting kind of on these glamorous locations moving forwards, I think, after COVID. So one fun thing that we have been trialing out is certainly virtual fashion shoots, and you'll see the likes of ID magazine and all the Vogues have been jumping onto this, and even WWD with Demi Lovato on the left, and our images are the other ones around it. So we've been doing virtual shoots and virtual videos, behind the scenes things, and you know, with that, with virtual shoots, which, you know, can be done on Zoom or FaceTime. We've also then been putting, you know, working with superimposing into different locations, also using everything that we know with retouching. There really is kind of no limit to this. So we definitely see this post-COVID being a huge trend, and will no doubt continue to develop this, and you'll see lots more happening in this arena moving forwards. So yeah, that's me. So now over to Kushal and the world of digital marketing.
Thank you, Sophie. Thanks for that interesting presentation. I'm just switching my slides. So I didn't know that Nike logo was for what, like $35, and now it is like $26 billion. Talk about ROI, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So cool. So yeah, so till now you heard about the design stuff, right? So knowing design is about like knowing what creative content will work for your brand. Then digital marketing is using that creative content at the right place and the right time, of course, to make dollars, right? And that's what I think we will talk about now. Oh, technical glitch. Okay. So you might have heard about digital marketing. It's not something super new that that we hear nowadays. But I still understand that there might be different types of customers who might have logged in on this webinar. So there might be somebody who has a very strong online presence, and of course maybe offline business also. There might be very seasoned social sellers here, and maybe there are offline only businesses also. And I'm assuming the reason why you might have joined this webinar is to understand how to get out of that zone of offline only sellers. There are some like, simple things that you can do to move away from the offline only zone. And this will not cost you any money. It can be just open like an account on Google My Business, you know, like when somebody is searching pizzas near me. So, or your shop should appear there, or just open a Facebook page. Or if you don't want to do that, then just start your own messaging channel. You might be on WhatsApp, you might be on line messaging. Start your own group, and sharing your content, sharing your catalogs with your customer base. And if you don't want to do that, just go onto your own Facebook page and start sharing your media. It's as basic as that. Digital marketing is everything today. So there is nothing non-digital right now. So now that we have a decent understanding of that everything is digital, so now let's go into few technical things that you might have read when you Googled about digital marketing 101. You might have heard a lot about like online media and paid media. Let's start with understanding what media is, right? Media is something, an asset which you can share. And this can be anything, as I said, like anything. It can be print media. It can be anything that you can share online, on Facebook, on website, etc. Anything. Now, what is owned media? As the term says, it is something that you own. It can be your own website. It can be your own Facebook page. It can be your own Instagram page. It can be your own YouTube channel. It can be the emails that you're sending, something that you own, and it is like you don't have to pay anybody here. You'll be, of course, paying maybe domain fees to GoDaddy, but that's not the point. It's like, are you paying for posting that content and on that site or any place? Paid media, on the other side, in offline example, it's like a billboard. Right? You don't own the billboard, but you pay the owner of the billboard to host your content, host your advertisement on the site. In the digital world, it can be the Facebook advertising that you do, the money you might pay to Google for search ads. It can be influencer marketing. It can be affiliate marketing, and many more. So basically, where you're paying something. And many times you might have come across something like owned media versus paid media. There is nothing like that. As you see, by definition itself, owned media is the foundation. Without the owned media, you might not be able to do much with paid media. It's like just spending money on Facebook without having some place for the traffic to go and get converted into your customer. So these things go hand in hand usually. So once you have sorted the media part, let's say you have let's say a website ready or something. The next question is, how do I engage my my customer? And to do this, there are two basic questions that you'll have to ask. Is what is my customer need right now? What is the requirement, and where do they want to see this? And the what here is basically is answered by Sophie, right? So creating that content, creating what you need, and in the most impactful way. So that is what is about. That what is about. It can be a video, it can be maybe an infographic, maybe you want to read it when you're commuting, so it's a bite-sized content that you want to see, or you would just want to see the images, or maybe you want to read everything in detail on a blog post, or it can be just a catalog. Maybe your customer just means business and they want to see everything in the catalog format so that they can go ahead with the business. So it can be that. So you need to understand what your customer needs, and you need to generate the content in that format. Once you have the format sorted, now you need to understand where to host this content. Maybe it's a blog, but maybe I don't want to go to a website. Maybe I want to read it on a social media site. So I need to understand where. So if your website is like super popular, maybe you have like millions of traffic coming in, of course, use your website for that. Or maybe you can use your Facebook account, maybe Instagram, or maybe you want to have your own how-to videos, use YouTube. Maybe you want to have those snappy little videos on TikTok, please go ahead and do that. Or if you just want to use your WhatsApp channel, your line messaging channel, use that. And if you have your own email database, definitely use the email newsletter and email as a channel for communication. Or what we are doing today, like a webinar, or in-person meeting. I'm hoping that will happen sometime soon after COVID. And maybe the latest and the greatest channel that we are seeing, live streaming. So just go on any of these channels, make your content impactful and show it to your customer and attract them. Once you do this, I think after that it becomes very much, I would say, scientific and theoretical to do things. So going back to the own media and paid media topic that I was discussing. So in own media, so when you have your own media, let's say a website or a Facebook page or whatever, the objective here is to attract, convert, and nurture. So you need to understand that I need to bring the customers to my own media and then do something, show them something which they will believe and they will trust in, and then you nurture them into becoming your own customers. So the objective here will be to build and maintain. And build and maintain means multiple things. I've just mentioned few things here. And the most basic of this will be optimizing your content for search. You can have a greatest website, you can have an awesome Facebook page going there, but not many people will search for your web address and come there. And as we do every time, we just Google for everything. So your site, your microsites, your blogs and everything should be optimized for search. And that is what SEO is all about. So when somebody searches for something, you should show up as the first search, and that is all about. And this is for free. So please do this. And also, as Sophie mentioned, we need to share the content regularly. So it can be once a day, it can be multiple times a day, whatever makes sense for your business and for your content. So please go ahead and share content regularly and in the channels that they want. It can be social share, it can be messaging channel, it can be a weekly email blast, it can be PR for that matter. So understand what channels work for you and share the content regularly there. And if you haven't seen anything on this slide or I haven't heard anything till now, this is the most important thing I think of this presentation will be build your own customer database. you might have received an email from your customer. You might have received a phone call from your customer. Maybe they messaged you on something. Maybe they submitted a form on your website. Collect these things and curate that information, because data is gold. I think oil nowadays. So ensure that you are able to collect that and curate that and use it for your own channel, because that is the cheapest way you can communicate with your customer. And the expensive way is the paid media one, which is not something that we should be doing by default. As I mentioned, owned media is to attract, convert, and nurture. Paid media is to expand and attract. So this is where you'll want to, you have your group of customers, you know them well, and you have an understanding of how they behave, etc. Paid media will just expand that and give and improve your reach maybe 1,000 times, 10,000, and maybe 1,000,000 times more. That is what paid media is about. But all this expansion, all this fancy thing will come at a cost. Hence, focus on the old media first and make sure you're getting great returns from there. And then come to paid media, of course. And in paid media, usually you see, like, when you have like lots of dollars to spend, you might want to scale and then optimize. I would recommend, especially for the SME segment that we are talking about, optimize and then scale, because you need to make sure that every dollar that you're spending is well spent, and then you spend the next dollar, so that your ROI is the best every time you spend the next dollar. And when you go ahead with the paid media strategy, make sure that your media mix is right. And when I say media mix, it's a fancy word of saying again that where is your customer? You know, are they spending time on Facebook? Are they spending time on Instagram? Do they spend time on TikTok? So wherever. So you need to understand where. Again, going back to the slide that I shared, and you need to make sure your paid ads or your any strategy is appropriately proportioned to the media mix, and also the audience behavior. Right? Maybe you want to show your content, your ads on YouTube, but what if your customer base always skips the ad? Then it doesn't make sense at all, right? So you need to understand how the audience behaves on these channels and show them the content, show them the ads in an appropriate way. Again, I don't want to sound like a college professor here, but it becomes very theoretical at some point, and the theory works, because it is about understanding the funnel. It is about understanding what are the awareness levels. Like, am I doing something to create that awareness? You know, get that top of the funnel sorted, and then you move down the funnel, re-engaging them, converting them again, and then converting them and maybe retargeting them through other channels. So the theory still remains same, but in this world of technology, things can be done at scale. And finally, and I think this will be the most important part here. That will be the content strategy, right? So targeting the audience with the right content. So again, the experts like Sophie will be really helpful here to understand like what content works and going with the right content to the right customer. Also, optimizing at scale. We use it for our B2C business, where when we show an ad, we show like hundreds of variants of that image, and then the machine picks like maybe a couple of variants which worked well, and we use that to scale the advertisement. And hence we use the creative content, which is very human-centric, but the optimization can be done through machine, and we make the best use of both the worlds, the creative side and the automation side of it. So once you've done this, all the paid media, owned media strategies and everything, so you have your customer now, you know vaguely a definition of like what they are. Maybe they are a visitor on the site. Maybe they submitted a form on a lead generation page. Now, what do you do with them? And this is where the important part starts, because this is where someone has shown some interest towards you, right? They came to the website. They maybe browsed a couple of pages, they submitted a form, they clicked on something. So it means there is an intention, but we still don't know what that intention is all about, right? So once these visitors come in, so you need to make sure that you're able to engage them again, not just through your website, but also through other channels. If they're there on your website, of course, use those web notifications, like the pop-ups that you see, the exit intent surveys and all that. So that is still when they are on your website, but maybe, of course, they will go out of your website and do their other stuff. So then how do I get back? Use search, like paid or organic again, Facebook, Instagram, paid or organic again, and maybe other paid ads to get them back to your site, your asset, and then convert them further. And if you have their email contact, then of course use the email channel or even other text messages to get them back. Also, in this stage of the funnel, referral is the most impactful channel that you can use. The cheapest and the best ROI channel will be referral, because people trust their own friends. So they will understand that, okay, they will believe on things faster. So once the visitor comes in and they become like a lead, so they need to enter, let's say, they need more attention from you. They need more personalized treatment from you. So it can't be just like following them through some ad across the websites. That might not work for them. So this is where you'll have to start showing them more relevant content. Like it can be a lead nurturing campaign. It can be a trigger based messaging. If they do something, then then show something to them. Also, if you have a big enough database, definitely use data as your strength to do some lead scoring out of it, and to sort out the important leads and focus on them immediately. And don't get me wrong here, the lead nurturing campaigns, of course, digital will allow to do it at scale, but there might be multiple customers or multiple business models where things might need in-person touch, and in-person does not have to be in like a personal communication in isolation. It can be then augmented with the digital communications that we do. Before you go to the meeting, maybe you send an email to them. After you come back to the meeting, then send a follow-up email with certain assets that were discussed during the meeting. So keep that digital, in line with whatever you are doing, be it in person, non-digital, or digital. So once this lead receives that information and is now educated about it, and now they want to do more with you, and that's when, let's say, we call them qualified lead, right? And this qualified lead will need even more attention from your side. Now, the content strategy that you're working on will have to be almost like tailor-made specifically for this qualified lead. And digital marketing strategies will and the platforms that we use will help you do that at scale. Maybe it's a very sales conversion process, but the assets that we create for you, that the catalogs that we will create for you, will help you, customizing that journey. And even if you have let's say a website where the purchase can happen on the website, how do you then help your customer complete that purchase process at every stage? And the famous of these examples is the add to cart or the abandoned cart campaigns, right? So at every stage, you're there with the customer, helping them move down the funnel and complete the purchase. Also, very important part at this stage will be the educational campaigns, because now this lead is qualified and they have shown immense interest in you. So it is our responsibility now to educate them what they will get from us. What is that value proposition that your brand will give the client? Why should they choose you when they have 100 other options in the market? So the education becomes a very, very key important role here. Also, of course, promotional campaigns. If you have enough budget and enough commercial bandwidth, definitely work on promotional campaigns that will help improve, in some sort of stickiness, and everybody will want that cherry on the top. So it helps a lot in attracting your customers. And if you have any technical bandwidth and also budget, definitely think about gamification. That also helps a lot in attracting customers and staying back with you, be engaged with you to do more. And once all this happens, and once we have done all this thing perfectly, your qualified lead will become the customer. And post that, there is a long journey, but maybe we'll have a different webinar for that. But I think all this will help us convert that visitor that we got in different stages to a loyal customer much more faster. Hoping all these things and helped, and hoping that we'll have much more interesting Q&A session going forward. Ria, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sophie and Kushal, for this super insightful session on the significance of design and the nuances of digital marketing. I'm sure everyone thought it was brilliant. So I am pretty sure the audience will have a lot of questions in mind. So a gentle reminder to everyone to use the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. Now the stage is open for questions. All right, I think we have the... Okay, so the first question. Okay, how can you guarantee ROI on my digital marketing spends? Will this assure me of sales? Kushal, would you like to take that question?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute, searching that button there. So
that's okay.
I think it's $1 million question, right? So if we had a perfect answer for this, I think yeah, many people would have figured out multiple things. So assuring a specific ROI might be complicated, but what I would say is I think with the learnings that we have, with the expertise that we have from the creative side, from the content side, and also from the digital marketing side, and the data and intelligence that we have from our learnings from our B2C and B2B business, what we can assure is we can help improvement going further. Maybe we will not be able to right away say that, oh yeah, we can assure a 35% ROI on this. Definitely not. But I think we can say that at some benchmark, we can tell you how to optimize it further, how to improve it further, and then maybe after going through certain cycles, then maybe we might be able to zero down on some sort of ROI. But just seeing a particular content, particular business, assuring a particular ROI will be really complicated for anybody to assure it.
All right, thank you. I hope that answers your question. The next one is there any particular strategy to make content viral?
Should I take that one? Again, it's a similar question, I guess. If we knew what would make things go viral, everyone would be producing them a lot quicker and at a lot faster rate. I think, super engaging, super colorful, dynamic content is the key. And obviously things that engage an audience with the current kind of climate, things that really resonate home, is always really, really popular. But then you see these live streaming things I saw one the other day of an octopus, live streaming that went wrong, which was with a woman with an octopus on her face, live streaming it, but then it started to attack her. So, then that became viral. So, I think in this day and age, it really does depend. But yeah, things that just super engaging and current, I think is a key.
All right. Kushal, would you like to add something to that? Or? All right, okay, moving on to the next question. I hope that answers your question. So the next one is, what platform should I focus on if I'm just starting out my online business, and how will design help me? shouldn't I first focus on making sales rather than marketing?
So I think we could probably both take that, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, from my side, definitely Instagram for sure is the greatest place to start, and just making sure that, you know, all the designs even on there really are cohesive. You'll see a lot of brands that will use kind of color matching, that's a super effective way currently of being able to really make your page look beautiful and making it look like, you know, really synergy in terms of one brand, one voice, one message. So yeah, from my point of view, definitely Instagram is the best starting place right now.
Cool. So the question between sales versus marketing, right? It's like chicken and egg story here. So definitely there is not a straightforward forward answer, but I'm assuming you will invest on your, what I mentioned, own media, right? So that is something which is which you will need to have, especially for an online business that you mentioned. So use that own media to, you know, share it with your customer base in a cost-effective manner. You don't have to go ahead and, you know, run your Facebook ads right away, but definitely, you know, share it on your network. Definitely make sure your site is 100% optimized for search. Definitely make sure that you're able to use your own network for PR purposes. So I think you can still use the what should I say, like the non-costly channels, and still do some marketing with that and build that base, and then use you know, the paid channels to expand and attract, as I mentioned.
All right, thanks guys. So the next question is, this is super interesting. How can I get uniqueness for my content, as there are a lot of people who do digital marketing online today? Sophie, would you like to take that?
Yeah, I think, you know, for start off, anytime you're producing content, like Kushal says, you really need to know your audience. So, you know, start with that as the base as well, you know, really like drill into, you know, who your audience is, what they want, what they need, create a whole persona around your audience. And then it's much easier to serve them content if you know what they like and what their habits are. So I think that that's a kind of really great way to specifically engage your customer, knowing your brand. And in terms of uniqueness, creating an identity with, you know, kind of the brand fundamentals that I talked through at the beginning. You know, like we said, you know, brands want to be different, like people. I think creating, you know, the persona around that, and then really sticking by your fundamentals that are unique to you, whether it's the colors or the font, or, you know, the type of framing that you shoot, you know, your pictures in, or the way that you talk to your customer. You know, we've seen massive trends in that of, you know, lots of different beauty brands like Glossier speaking to their customers like they're their friends, or like with Babe, hi Babe, you know, when they speak to their customers. So I think, you know, you can really coin your own uniqueness by knowing your customer, and then just delivering to them exactly what they would want, whether you're speaking to them like a friend or a colleague, depending on the relationship. So yeah.
Yep, sounds good. So the next question, I think this Kushal will be able to take this. What are the most useful online marketing tools and CRM tools that you would recommend to manage leads?
Ria, can you repeat the last part of the question?
Yep, no issues. What are the most useful online marketing tools and CRM tools that you would recommend to manage leads?
Okay. So I think to manage your leads, there are some simple CRM tools that I would definitely recommend. I'm assuming again here this is for an SME business. So you can use tools like HubSpot comes to my mind, which is, I think it's free for lead management. Of course, there is a premium version there, but you can use it effectively to carve out the journey of your lead conversion, and also use multiple channels on top of it, like of course email as one of the channels. And there are like lots of integrations that you can do to integrate WhatsApp if you're in India, Line if you're in Thailand, and even other channels in other countries. So that, I think that will help you at least give you a very good foundation of getting your data in one centralized place, and also structure everything, your own business model and your own thought process in nurturing the lead, and of course after conversion also managing the lead going forward. So you can use a CRM platform like HubSpot effectively.
All right. I think adding to that first question, on an average, how long does the digital ads optimization process take? What KPIs or metrics are useful to map the optimization progress?
I think optimization process, it depends. Again, there is no one answer here. As a general rule of thumb, I would say at least give it like 7 to 10 days for the, let's say, for Facebook algorithm to understand what is happening, and then optimizing your KPI. And answering on the KPI itself, like what you want to optimize. Again, it completely depends on the objective of the campaign, right? So if the objective is about awareness, then the KPI becomes let's say it becomes impression. If it is about order, then the KPI becomes like cost per order. Or if lead generation is your objective, then the objective becomes that. So it completely depends on in what stage of the funnel this campaign is being targeted, and hence the KPI will be also correlated with that.
All right, cool. So the next question is slightly subjective, and I think both of you can take it. It's, are there any specific strategies for the food and beverage industry in terms of design and digital marketing? Sophie, would you like to go first?
Yeah, well, we've actually noticed a lot more brand names have been really popular in the food and beverage market. So really showing content, showing products for what they are. And also, I think at the end of the day, with food and beverage, you want to leave people hungry and thirsty. So, making those products look really, really appealing is always really important as well. So, visually creating kind of really great photography and videography, which can exemplify that, is always really important.
Yeah, from digital marketing point of view, I think it is, and when you make people hungry and thirsty, I think you also want to give them access to you, right? So you have to be available almost everywhere for them, and it can be the Google My Business that I mentioned. It can be your social media sites, and also more importantly, and especially in food and beverage industries, try to collect your customers' information, contact information, and then use it for showing them whatever the beautiful stuff that you're creating as part of your creative and content journey, and engage them as frequently as possible, so that whenever they want to think about eating or hanging out or doing anything, your content comes in front of them, and then you become the first option for them.
All right, great guys. Okay, I think we're sort of coming to the end of the session, so we're going to take one last question, and this is, any new channels where I should be focusing design and paid efforts on? Where can I get the most ROI? Kushal, would you like to go first?
Yeah, again, it's tough, right? It's tough to answer that where can I get the ROI part, but this also needs like certain amount of research on what your business is, what your business model is, what your customers are, like what are they doing, and I think understanding that, doing great bit of homework there will tell you that will become, I think the answer will become apparent then, and then we can take a call that, okay, the beautiful content that I created, now should I host it on YouTube, or should I put it on TikTok, or should I just put it on a blog post? So completely depends on those questions that you need to answer in terms of research and understanding your customer.
Any thoughts on that, Sophie?
Yeah, I mean, we've been experimenting a lot more on TikTok. I think that's probably one of the ones that we've been working a lot more with recently. And yeah, we'll continue to do so. So yeah, definitely TikTok for me.
Okay, all right. That was great, guys. Thank you so much, Sophie and Kushal, for that brilliant session. It was super insightful. And thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar. We hope you're going away with deeper insights and ideas on how to continue selling and marketing your brand during this slow-moving period. Now, we will be sending our reading material and references in the next day or two, so please look out for that in your email inbox. And please feel free to reach out to us on email or on call. We're here for you. So thank you so much. We hope to answer more of your questions personally. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day. Be safe.